Hello, everyone. This is Julie from Patchworks, and I am here in my sewing room tonight. We are going to be doing a little bit of sewing on the butterfly quilt. And we've been working for the past few weeks when we've been together working on the log cabins of all sorts of different sizes and shapes. So we've done teeny tiny ones, and we have also done a little bit larger ones. And I thought it was good if we moved on to a different shape. So today we are going to be talking about the half square triangles, and there is, I think, 136 half square triangles that are required for this quilt. And we're going to talk about them a little bit. I did just hop into the sewing room, and so we will be getting fabrics out together and looking at things to be able to make them. We're not going to make all 136 of them, and but we will definitely get a good start. I did go ahead and did check on the fabrics that we would be needing. And remember I said I like to make color pages of this color sheet, so that way we can write on them for the different blocks. So I did that where I just took it for this page. So let's just take a quick peek here at the half square triangle page. And so that's on page 8, okay? So page 8, and in page 8 here, we don't really have much more than some generic colors of how they go together. So what I did is I flipped to our color guide on the back here, and I went through and I checked out how many we need to make. So there are 36 fabrics. And so if we had used all of the fabrics for them, we'd be making a total of 144 half square triangles. So it only calls for 136. So I knew that we were dropping something off since everything was being used in pairs. Now, of course, you can make this however you'd like, and you can choose your own adventure. But I noticed that she did not use Sweet Pea or Legendary. Those are two solids. So those two fabrics are not being used for the half square triangles. So the fabrics that you do want to use is that you're actually going to be cutting 2 squares of all of the other fabrics used in the wings. Pretty simple. At this point, you also need to make the decision, if you haven't made it already, what color background you're going to be using. So we have the official background. Now in the pattern, it does look a little bit bluer on the front here. I know we had a customer who bought a kit who was a little sad when she had gotten it home and realized that it was a little bit greener, but that is actually that minty color that is Tula's very, very favorite color. It's her neutral, so it's colored Whimsy. And that's also matching her color thread that she likes to use. So I am going to quick grab my bag, and we are going to check what fabrics that I have. So I see a couple of you are hopping on. I hope that you can hear me okay. I forgot my microphone at the store, so I'm just using the microphone off the computer. And I think that'll work out pretty all right for what we're doing here. Since it's just a little quaint group of us, making sure that we can sew together. So let me grab some fabric and we'll get cutting. So the cool thing about this cutting is that we get to just do the same cuts over and over and over again. So this is that Whimsy, okay? I'm going to go down to I'm going to go down to my cutting table here. I'm going to change that direction of that camera. Hopefully I don't lose you and don't make you go seasick. Do, 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 do. Okay. So I have lots of fabrics. And so that color sheet that I had, okay, so we are going to be taking squares from all of these, except for Sweet Pea and except for Legendary. Okay, so Frank just wanted to let me know that our pizza's ready. I'm going to be having pizza a little bit later, so he might call down again. And just so that you know that, see, this is just real life. Okay, so when we're cutting, since we are going to be cutting all the same size squares. So have you made the half square triangles from squares? You probably have. I'm going to fire up my iron so that I can take a couple of these larger pieces and just stack these on top. And I'm going to show you a trick when we are layering these guys to make it a little bit easier on you. You can absolutely go ahead and just cut and layer things together, but it also is really, really nice when you take your background fabric and your focus fabric and put that together with your half square triangle bunches, because it just works better. So I'm going to grab, I'm plugging the iron in, and I have been playing with this new iron. It's a Velocity iron from Reliable. I'm going to show it to you again. I had plugged it in for the first time the last time that we sewed together, and I wasn't quite sure how it all worked. And so I probably gave like the most horrible demo in the whole world. But now that I've been working with it, I love, love, love it. I got a few from Market, and they're just amazing. So we'll take a peek at that in just a minute as well. I'm going to gather a few of my fabrics here. I need your cuts because, so we have our moonflower and our amethyst. So we only need 2 squares of each. So I don't need giant chunks of everything, but I do need to make sure that they're wide enough. And dahlia. We're probably not going to get through everything. I mean, we are not going to get through everything. So we'll just do a nice section to play. All right, so we have our giant stack of fabrics here. Do you have giant stacks of fabric at home too? We got the foxglove back in stock. This one, if you had been short on that, we did get that one back in stock. Remember, we are restocking all of Cool Basics. Is my iron letting me know that we are ready to go? I might actually not have my foxglove here. That might be why I push. Okay, I'll talk super loud from over here. So this is that Reliable iron. It has a really nice hand to it. And it also has amazing micro steam on it. So it has a compact vapor generator on it. And I don't know if you can hear it, but it has this really amazing steam. So I go back and forth on my steam. And in a situation like this, where I am pressing out a chunk of fabric, I do like steam. I also use a little bit of starch on there too. Let's just hit it with a little bit of starch. little bit of steam. So this time of year is a great time to get some of those great things like a new iron for yourself. And we are ironing our fabric. So when we press our blocks, but when we iron out our fabrics, we do iron. This has a nice glide to it. And the steam that comes out of it, it's super, it's really, really hot. It comes from these microfibers or micro holes in here. So it's super fine steam, which is also nice. I haven't worked with it quite long enough. I've been told that these never, ever, ever bloop. You know, like when they just like chunk out deposits and things like that. So I don't know the technology why they don't, but apparently they don't. And that's why it's a iron of preference for many of our favorite pattern designers, including Doug from Antler Quilt Designs. He loves the reliable iron. I had asked why I'd want to use an iron like this versus a steam generator, you know, the one with the tank. And they had said this iron is a better iron. That might be a better steam generator, but because there is weight on there and you do need, sadly, weight for there to be that really amazing press, that would be why you would want to use an iron like this over the steam machine. Okay, so I went ahead and I pressed this. Now, what I am going to do is that I'm going to come and I'm going to cut off a chunk, and then I'm going to show you how I stack fabrics together to cut out my half square triangle units. So I'm with, okay. So I'm going to cut a chunk off first. I have it folded in half and in half. For our exercise that we're going to be doing, we are only going to be using it single layer, but because I want to have a nice straight cut there, flip it around, move this so I don't go with paper. Now I am going to make this, because of what I want to show you, I'm going to cut this a little bit bigger, okay? Actually, I'm going to cut it a little bit bigger here, all right? All right, I cut. I need 2 sets of each of my fabrics that I want to work with. So let me pull this guy here first, okay? So I'm going to put right sides together of my dahlia, all right? And I am going to cut off my selvages. I need a 7-inch rectangle. So for a 7-inch rectangle, I can do it a couple ways. I'm going to do it this way, where I take a 1/2 inch from my, let me scoot this over a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take a 1/2 inch off the edge from my Big Daddy and add my 6.5 from my Big Mama ruler. So now I have my rectangle. Now this is oversized, so I'm going to cut down to the size that I need, and I want it to be a 3.5 inch by 7-inch rectangle. So I'm going to make sure here, but that there's fabric on both sides. So we're going like this here and this here. And then I am two sets of squares that are that are together. Okay, so you can see this. So what I do before I go to the sewing machine is I do like to mark my squares. Okay, so I like quick quarter ruler, and my quick quarter is this guy right here. It comes in two different lengths. It is a the short and the long. I know that's very very precise there, the short and the long. And I'm going to use my Soline ceramic. So I have an old Soline, and so it is a different pen, but the new ones work really well as well. And so I just line this up right here. And I mark on either side. Sometimes people like to mark down the center. I actually like to mark my stitch line. So when I mark my stitch line, I mark it on the light side of the fabric. Okay. And line this right up here. So I mark actually where I'm going to sew. When you're marking it, you make sure to position your fine marking utensil at a 45-degree angle so that you sneak really far in there, okay, rather than perpendicular. And that way you can actually sew on your sew line or mark on your sew line. I'm going to do the second one, and then we're going to hop over to our sewing machine. Now, the beauty of this is that you can actually pre-cut all of your squares, and then you can just chain piece them off. So it's really not that painful to be doing this, okay? So you can just cut them, you can just cut them all, mark them all, and chain stitch, and then you split them apart, press them, and then you can trim them all. Now with trimming, that can to me be the painful part, trimming them down. And so by being able to split it up a little bit, that can be super helpful. Okay, we're going to go over to my sewing machine now. So we'll just kind of bring this up a little bit. Zoom in a little bit. I know some like to be zoomed in and watching the sewing. Okay. So we have these guys right here. And oh, I don't have any thread in there. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So for this, I am going to go ahead and use the Whimsy color. I had been using some other neutral, but since I have this here, that could be really fun. I think I have a cream in my bobbin. That works just fine. You can pin this. I don't here. So I'm just going to stitch. Ooh, I'm going fast. I was doing some super speeding sewing this weekend, so I had zoomed up my machine. That also makes it hard to talk to you. Have to concentrate. Okay, so I chain piece these, so you can see here that I just lift up my presser foot a little bit. And then go. Right? So we'll just do this pair while we're together here. It looks like we might be having a little bit of internet issue. So I just want to make sure that we can get the content up there for you guys. And then you don't have to be tortured with dropping connections and such. I can't see it on the other side. I just see some things where it keeps on flashing red messages up on the screen. So that can't be good, right? Flashing red messages can never be good. And I can't read if you guys are messaging me anything. Also not a great sign. Okay, so we have 2 sets here. Okay, so 2 sets is going to yield 4. And so you're going to use this for the right side and this for the left side, right? And remember, we said we were going to make 2 sets of every single combination except for Sweet Pea and except for Legendary, right? Yeah, okay. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to cut these apart and then we're going to go to the ironing board. We're going to press it out and then I'm going to show you how to square this up and we'll take it from there. All right. So I'm just going to quick cut it apart. Now you can scissor cut it apart if you'd like. I am going to be official about this and I am going to just splice it. And when I splice it, I just line up my 1/4 inch on my seam line on one of the sides and cut. Okay. I'm not worried about cutting off my dog ear, my points here. I do the when I square everything up. All right. So now we're going to go over to the ironing board. And we are going to so I take it and I use I finger press it out here. You can absolutely go ahead and finger press all of them at the same time before you bring your heat to it. The great things about this quilt is that there's nothing that's absolutely too tiny about any of these pieces. So that's really nice. Okay, so now we're going to take these and go back to the cutting table. right? And we are going to trim these down to size. So when I trim them down to size, I like to line up here on my Big Mama ruler. I'll take my 45-degree line and I'll line it up in between where I need to trim it down to. And do one side at a time. So this is where, you might want to spread out your squaring up over a period of time, because this can get a little monotonous, especially if you're going to be doing 136 of these units. Oh my gosh. So you're not using them all in the same block. You're using them throughout. So if you need to finish up catching up on any of your blocks, if you're working on any other projects, just starting to work on these, cut out all of the squares from all of your focus fabrics that you need to be working on and all of your backgrounds. And you can use our trick where you stack the focus fabric and your background together when you cut your squares out. Because we are only making 2 squares for a total of 4 units out of every fabric combination, it's not necessarily the best option to use a triangle paper. And I do not do the half square triangle trick where you would take a square and make 4 half square triangles from them, where you sew around the perimeter of 2 squares and then cut them. Because of the bias, we're going to have enough going on with the different size blocks in this sampler that I don't need to introduce additional bias to it, if that makes any sense. So that is why I don't do that. One more set here that we're going to square up. And then we will quickly just recap what it is that we've done. And then I will let you continue sewing tonight. And we will reconvene on Thursday in the store for our Thursday Must Sew TV, where in theory we have a little bit better internet. Okay, so we have our half square triangle units here. Okay, half square triangle units. We are making 2 sets from each of the fabric combinations. Each of the fabric combinations are your wing fabrics from the wing fabrics from the fabric page. We are going to be skipping the sweet pea and the legendary. At this point, you need to have picked your background that you're using. Whimsy is the official background for the kit, and this is a minty color. It would be completely appropriate to use a cream, a white, black. You could use, if you wanted something a little bit busier, you could use a fairy dust as well. You could use the large white fairy dust if that was something that you'd like. So if you weren't ready to make the decision for what your background is going to be, then I would say you could pause, but you're going to need to make that decision relatively soon, because we're going to be doing, so we're doing the half square triangles that go all around the perimeter of this, and then we're also going to be working next week on our flying geese. So here we're using white. So if you chose to use white as your background, you may want to rethink what the secondary color is going to be here so that it doesn't blend in. And then after Christmas, we'll get into our circles. How does that sound? All right. I would like to thank you for joining us tonight and for being able to see all these different things. I will check the comments because I can't see the comments right now. So I will be checking the comments to be able to address any of your specific questions for this. And just, you know, take your time, have fun with it. This quick quarter ruler is a dream, and this is the Soline ceramic lead pencil. As I said, the ones currently sold in the store, this pen looks a little different, but the leads are exactly the same. And I love, love, love it. So thanks so much for tuning in tonight. I hope this was helpful in your butterfly quilt journey. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Happy quilting, and we'll see you soon.